Hey, hi. In this video, I'm going to show you how to migrate data from Azure SQL Database to Azure Analytics Workspace. As you see in this PPT depicts my demo. Here, I'm going to show you how to set up the Azure SQL Database tables, which you need to migrate to Azure Synapse Analytics Workspace, which is basically, enterprise grade data warehousing solution plus analytics solution. So here we're going to use a native capability of Azure Synapse Analytics called Integrate and try to integrate the Azure SQL database with Synapse Analytics so that we can easily migrate the table data present on Azure SQL database to Azure Synapse Analytics Workspace, which is actually a data warehousing solution, or you can use it for analytics purpose, or you can integrate with the other the dashboarding solutions like Power BI and the other dashboarding as well, right? All right, so with that note, so I'm going to quickly jump to the part of the demo. So here I have already pre-created required Azure PaaS SQL database. This is my Azure SQL database, which is a PaaS service, and I have enabled it to accessible over the internet for that, for the demo purpose. But in the case of enterprise grade setup, you might need to restrict the access within the your Azure virtual networks, basically. Yeah. So here what I do is first let me set up the Azure SQL database, which is our source, and the Azure Synapse Analytics, which is our destination, are sync, right? So here what I do is I'm going to take you to the there is an option called query editor. So you can go to the query editor, and currently I'm logging with using the default SQL authentication. Yeah. So this is let me put in the default SQL authentication. So this is my username, and I'm going to enter my password as well. So here I'm just entering the password. Let me retype it again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is my password. So what I'm doing is I have logged into this Azure SQL database and try to create the SQL table here. So basically what I do is I'm gonna go to the SQL table, and we're gonna create an example table. For example, say I'm creating a table with a name called person, right? So just run this query now. So this is a query editor option which Azure gives by default. We're going to run it now. So it will basically create a table. You see that query is succeeded. If we refresh underneath the table, you're going to see the SQL table. I'm going to create a two table, which is needed for the demo purpose, because I'm going to show you that how to migrate the two tables into the Synapse Analytics in one go, right? So if I refresh, so we have two tables. In each table I just insert only one record, because just for the demo purpose. Yeah. So this is the how I created a table, and then we're going to insert some records which is acting as a data that is really the business value, which you need to migrate to Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, so we have a table called dbo.person. So this is the dbo.person, and it has the same syntax. But if you see the column name, so column name one is address, so it is not address underscore a. I'm going to change it to address, and then what you do is we're going to run this one and see if it works. Basically, it says that no person persons. It is looking for persons because we have given persons. Okay, so let me make it as person. So basically, okay, so looks like there is some problem with the this keyword. So I'm going to comment it out like this and see if this works. Let me write like this: persons dot dbo dot person. There's a failed query, the invalid object name. So basically dbo dot person's name, persons. Okay, persons. This is person. This is persons. Okay, so that's the reason it is throwing the error. Let me make it as person, right? And then we're gonna remove these codes which is not required. It will understand. And let me try to run this query, which will actually insert the values into the table. So I'm going to run it now. Here you go. So value, we have inserted a value into the dbo dot person. All right. So likewise, what I do is I'm going to insert to the another table called so let me add few more values into the columns. Say like I want to increase the values to 1 to 3 like this. Yeah. So then going to increase the value again to something, so that I'm inserting the 3 4 rows into the SQL table. Yeah. So likewise, we have inserted 3 records into dbo.person table. Now let's gonna insert into another table called dbo.person1, so that we're gonna create some records. So basically, I'm gonna do a reverse of that. So I'm gonna run it like 3 and run this query again. So and then let's keep it to 1001 id and run like this. Yeah, so once this is done, we are actually created some records into this table. So what I do is I'm going to show you that these records, in the sense these tables has some records, you see. So this table has some records. Similarly, I can query the person.1. So in the person.1 also we have the records. Okay, so now what is that I'm looking is how to migrate these tables, or nothing but how to migrate this database. This is the database. Cloudquick Labs DB is my database, which I wanted to migrate to Azure Synapse Analytics. Yeah, so if I go here, so this is the Azure Synapse Analytics, right? So I'm going to show you that in the my Azure subscription. This is my Azure subscription. I'm going to go to the Azure Synapse Analytics. So this is the Azure Synapse Analytics which I have set up. If you want to understand how to set up this, you can watch my previous video where I have gone very depth. So after opening that, what you do is you're gonna click on this basically. So this is our destination or sink, and generally we will call it as a data warehouse solution, right? So here in the option called Open Synapse Studio, right? So click on Open Synapse Studio. So it's going to take you to here. So now this is our workspace where the every activity will happen, right? So source is like just already there. Now you want to migrate that data to a sink or destination. So every configuration that we need to manage is still sits with Azure Synapse Analytics. Now I have opened the Synapse Analytics. So for that case, what we do is we need to do a couple of things. We need to do prerequisite like 1, number 2 and 3. First, let's check the prerequisite 1. The prerequisite 1 is you need to have a SQL pools, right? So you need to have a dedicated SQL pool. So how to create a dedicated SQL pool is very simple. Why do you need? Because dedicated SQL pool provides you a capability to create your own table, and eventually that will help you to migrate the tables present in SQL database into the Synapse Analytics. With the dedicated pools, Azure Synapse Analytics gives extended capabilities, right? And that's the reason I'm recommending you to create your own pool. Don't use the built-in pool. Yeah. So click on the dedicated pools, and here you need to provide the your say some names. Yeah, name of your dedicated SQL pool, and then this is the slider, that is performance level setting slider, which will actually tells you the estimated cost of that particular pool. Okay, so remember that creating the dedicated SQL pool is a very costly thing. So take care of that, and try to create it according to your need, and also try to explore like what is the cost, what is mean for what kind of resources, right? And then try to set the value accordingly. Next, go to the additional setting. In the additional setting, you can configure the data source, SQL pool, blah blah and all, and then go to the tags and click on the review and create, which will eventually creates a dedicated SQL pool like this. Okay, and this pool actually yeah, so this is the pool actually basically this is a server, SQL server, and which we will be creating a database. In the sense, this is generally acting as a database, you can say like that. Underneath that, we're going to create a table now. Okay, so this is the prerequisite one. So once you create here, you can go to the data. So there is a data option here. So click on that. Automatically SQL database option will be automatically listed there. And if you go down there, you will have a tables option. Currently, I have created tables. So there is no tables as you see here. There are no tables basically. So what we do is, we're gonna create a table because I wanted to map it. But again, so we can again explore like whether it can really create on your own. But if you have the whatever the schema that is there on the so whatever the tables schema, whatever there here, in the sense basically the definition of the SQL table, whatever there here, if you create here, which will become like a one-to-one mapping. In the sense, you have a table definition in the source, you have a table definition in the destination. Now you need to map it automatically. The data present in the table source will get migrated to a the sink side. Okay, that's the reason I'm recommending you to create a schema as well. So don't get lazy to so basically don't get lazy even to not to create the table as well. So here for that case, what we do is we're gonna create a table in the sink side. This is a prerequisite number 2. So in the source side, in the destination side, basically, generally analytics is a destination, right? So we're gonna create a table now. So with this configuration, I'm gonna go. So right now you see that this table option has been expanded. There is no table here. So we're gonna run it now. So basically, it should create a table for us. So currently, yeah, here you go. So it looks like it has executed the query which created a table, and along with that, we need to create another table called person1, where the column name is same, right? I'm just trying to mimic the scenarios, but in your case, table names would be different, table schemas would be different, table columns name would be different, right? So if you see here, there is a connection in the sense you have this is a server and we have a database name like this one, right? And then we're going to create another table called person1. I'm going to execute that again. All right, so I have executed it. If you refresh this option, we should see the destination tables are generally sync tables. Okay, so this is a prerequisite number 2 that you have created. Now let's go to the next option called as a prerequisite 3, that is in the linked services. If you go to the linked services, we need to create now. So basically how does the ETL operation happens is, it happens with the two types of connection, in the sense connection from the source side, connection to the destination side. Okay, so in between this integrate bucket, so the integrate tool, what it does is it will extract from here, it will map to the, it will also extract from here, it will also read from the in the sync side, try to map it, and then try to push the data. Okay, so for that case, this integrate tool needs the authentication from the both the side. Okay, I have already created the linked services. I'm going to show you like how did I create it by opening the option. Okay, so again, if you want to understand how in detail, like how did I set up these linked services, you can try to watch my previous video. But for now, how did I create, I'm going to walk you through very quickly. So for example, if you want to set up anything new linked services, you go to the plus button, click on new, and try to search for SQL, because this is the source side linked service that we are creating, and choose this option, right? And then say like continue, right? So here you can give it like this is my just general name, and then in the connect via integrate runtime. So from the Azure subscription, so connect selection method from Azure subscription, here you're going to select the subscription name. Then the server, our server name is, so basically Cloud Quick Labs is a server name. You see the analytics is for analytics purpose, so I'm going to choose it that. So how did I know that my server name is? You can go to the SQL database. For example, say go to the SQL database, and here you're going to see the server name in the overview page. You see this is my server name, right? SQL server, SQL lab server. So I'm going to choose that SQL lab server here, while creating a connection to the integrate. Yeah, and then you have a database. Automatically it will list the database. So we have a database name with the name, my channel name, called Cloud Quick Labs DB. And in the authentication, you have a multiple authentication options. For now, we're going to go with the basic SQL authentication, and here we're going to use the username, right? So our username was, so if I go to the query connector, so there was a username. This is Cloud SQL is the username, so you need to use that, and then give the password. Since it is a basic authentication, we need to give the SQL authentication password, something like this, right? And then click on a test connection. Once the test connection goes green, or it is able to connect it, basically, which means that your connection, your linked service is great actually. Yeah, click on create, which will actually creates a linked service for SQL database, something like this, which I have created. Okay, likewise for Azure Synapse Analytics one. So how did I create is, I clicked on plus mark, and then here you choose like a synopsis, right? So here you choose Azure Synapse Analytics, click on this Azure Synapse Analytics, and then here you're going to choose the subscription, that is Azure subscription here. And then in this one, it will list the possible Synapse workspaces. So here we're going to choose the Synapse Analytics workspace, which we created. Yeah, so this one is for SQL server, that is meant for database. Yeah, so you're going to choose the Azure Analytics workspace. In bracket, you see that there are the services where that SQL server is belongs to, right? So here it is listing all the SQL servers. So one is you have a SQL server from Azure SQL database. One, you have a SQL server which is mean from Azure Synapse workspace, and that is a data warehouse server. So, okay, there is a huge difference between the normal SQL server and SQL database, SQL database data warehouse solutions. Okay, so we're gonna choose the Synapse workspace, and then it will list the database present underneath that, and then we're gonna use the SQL authentication. So this is our password that we need to enter, right? So here is the username. I'm back in Synapse workspace, and there is a SQL admin user, which I'm going to use it for connection purpose. And then you're going to give the password name, something like this, that is this one. So this is my super secret password. So I'm going to now go and do a test. So once you click on a test, basically it should go connection successful, and then click on a create button. So it will take you like maybe 10 seconds or 15 seconds, and it does creates a connections. Okay, so basically we have a connection for Azure SQL database, which is our source. We have a connection to the Azure Synapse Analytics. So these are not like a linked service. Generally The terminology that we use here is linked services. Why? Because this is acting as a service account that you connect to those services and try to do the required job in the ETL operation, that is in extract, transform, and load. Right. So with this, we are done with the prerequisite number 3. Yeah. So first one is we created a table. The second one we set up the SQL pool. Then we are done with the the linked services. Now we're gonna go to the final stage called integrate. Right. So what does this mean? So integrate is basically so this is like a pipeline basically. Now we have all the prerequisite. Now you need to build that pipeline, that is data pipeline, to migrate from source to destination, right? So here you're gonna click on the plus integrate and use the copy data tool. Okay, so we're gonna go with that. And in this one, you see, if you try to explore or read through it, we have a default built-in copy task. Okay, I'm gonna go with that for this case. So we're gonna go this, right? And now we need to provide the source and the destination settings or destination configurations, which will eventually construct the pipeline. So here we're gonna choose the source, which is our SQL database. So we're gonna use Azure SQL Database, and in that one we have a connection called Azure SQL Database 1, and it will try to connect with that configuration. You see, and automatically you see that it actually lists the tables present underneath that Azure SQL database. So we're gonna want to migrate both the tables. So I'm not showing you the single table migration, but multiple table migration. Okay, so then we go to the next. So then we're gonna see the preview data. So you can preview the data present underneath this one. So you have this definitions which is coming here. Similarly, you can select the another one, that is person one, and try to preview the data. Basically both should be able to preview the data, right? And then which means that connection is as expected. Then we go to the destination. In the destination, so here we need to choose Synapse Analytics, which is our which is basically our destination. So I'm going to use the Synapse Analytics, and then here you're going to choose the Synapse Analytics connection 1, and then here is the automatically mapping will happen. You see that so it says auto create a table with the schema. So basically there is an option that auto create a table with the schema, right? So you can click on that. Or so basically auto create is nothing but if you click on this one, automatically it creates uh, you basically it has a two capabilities. In my case, I have already pre-created just to make sure that it does copies accordingly. But if you are lazy also, it does it also supports that option. So basically we have a dbo.person, we have a dbo.person.one. So what I'm doing is I'm mapping the the table to table and schema to schema mapping, and that is what it done. Okay, so basically it says skip columns mapping for all table. So I'm not gonna skip that. Basically it should we should do that. So here you go. So basically we are mapping the, in the sense, what is this job is, you are actually mapping the column to column. And I know, so basically like that, in the sense in the sense you have a table, and table has a schema in it. So that schema to schema mapping will be shown in this case. So which is actually good if you want to map it. Yeah. So if you go ahead and see that a schema, that is person ID is int, last name is varchar, and the other columns are varchar, right? So generally you see that person ID is int and the others are varchar, and which is actually as expected, right? And then we're going to go to the next settings, right? So here we need to do a couple of things. One, you can give your pipeline name, saying like copy to, say like copy to SQL DB to Synapses, right? And then you're gonna give the other options like data consistency verification, fault tolerance, enable logging, enable staging. So enable staging is important, so we need to select that. So we're gonna use the basically. So I'm gonna so I'm gonna use the staging. So we're going to have the polybase. Basically, we're going to do the polybase connection. So we're going to enable the staging as well. Default workspace, and then do a test connections. Let's see if test connection works. So basically what happens is, so whenever, whenever we do a source to destination, source to sync migration, the Azure Synapse will also take, basically it will also consider a staging environment where it will try to copy the data from the source and try to transform the data and then finally move the data into the sync, right? That's the reason we need a testing, this staging as well, which I have chosen the default analytics workspace, which is, it actually uses the default connections. In the sense, whenever you set up the Synapse analytics, it does creates a default connection, okay? And that is nothing but a default data lake connections will be used. So that is being used here. All right. And then rest options, we're gonna choose it. So basically we're gonna choose it like a default one. Yeah. Rest all options, let me go it as default, and let's see that if it works. Basically, it says polybase cannot be used with the, there is an error, small error, so which we're going to check. Polybase cannot be used together with the type conversions. Disable the polybase to go back to the column mapping. Okay, so I will just go to the command copy. I'm not going to use this copy base, so let's go with the copy method, that is copy command method, and then we're going to go next. So basically it says copy command method cannot be used together with the type conversion disabled command. In the sense, it is asking that we need to have a type conversion command, disabled command. Go back to the column mapping and disable the type conversion mapping. Okay, so I need to go back to the settings. So here we will have something called type conversion method. So we need to change that. It's basically, you see there is an option called type conversion which we need to disable. That's what it is asking. When you are using the copy command, basically it's saying that try to disable it, because it is actually doing the one-to-one mapping, right? So that is what it means. Yeah, so I'm going to select all and then go to the next option. Now let's go to the next option and try to check. Now it should be working, or let me disable the staging because I just wanted to map it. Let's see if it works. It says direct copying the Azure Synapse using copy command is not specified. You need to have a staging. Yeah, staging, it is asking for staging is mandatory. So let's enable the staging. Anyways, we have already tested. And then we're going to go next. Now try to do a next. Let's see. It looks like it is passed, and this is what I wanted. So you see that we have a Azure Synapse database, we have a Azure Data Lake, which is like an interim staging, and then finally it moves to the Azure Synapse context. Okay, and rest all is a configurations. Okay, with that option. So I'm gonna go to the, you see that I have clicked in the next, it's automatically trying to review the configurations, right? It see that it is actually checking the everything, like creating the database, creating the pipeline, running the pipeline. Yeah, so everything it is doing. And then we're gonna click on finish basically, and we have a pipeline. Basically, if you see here, if you refresh it, so we have a pipeline ready. Now you try to run it, it should actually try to copy the data from source to destination. Okay, so what I do is I'm gonna go to the add trigger and trigger. Now I'm just gonna create a trigger. Now click on trigger. It says that it is currently running, and you can also view that running by go to the monitor and refresh it here. So you see that it's currently running. In the sense, there are two tasks are running, because when I created it, basically it got triggered, and also on top of that I also created again, right? You see that we have we have this, the run is been triggered at just a while ago, and after that I also manually triggered it. That's the reason it shows that two pipeline tasks are being running. So looks like it has passed. You see that it has passed. We can see that the results as well. Here you go, right? So it looks like it has copied, and now we need to go to the data and try to check the data are being migrated or not. So how do you do that? So you go to the data and close this, not required, close this, all these options. So basically what happened is our pipeline which we triggered got successfully run. In the sense, it has run the job. We have run the pipeline for twice, and both the tasks got successfully completed. Nothing but data operation, it says that data operation has been happened properly. Now we need to check whether the data is been copied into the our Synapse analytics table which we created for. Now let's go to the tables and try to run the table. Say like select 100 rows. Yeah, so once we select the 100 rows, here you go, right? So the data is already been copied. So since I run for twice, looks like it copied for a couple of times. In the sense, it copied for twice or six. In the sense, it copied twice. Okay, so right. So but actually the data has been migrated successfully. Let me try to explore another table as well. So if I open this one, so we had a 3 records, but it has copied twice. Why it copied twice? Because I run the job twice, so it copied twice basically. Yeah. But under the hood, what happened is we were able to migrate the data present in the source to the sink. Our sink is nothing but our data warehouse solution, right? So and we were able to see that the data that is present in Azure SQL database is being migrated. So let me show you again. So if I go here and try to connect to my tables in the source side, say like select a top right? So we had a 3 records in the person database. Now it is 6. Why it is 6? Because if I go to the monitor, we trigger it twice. Okay, so make sure that if you are doing it for only one time, trigger it one time, or else you will be ending with the regret works. Okay, which I believe that if you try to explore more, you're going to have the remove duplicate option, so which will stop you from doing the creating the row records, duplicate records multiple times. Yeah. All right, so with that note, I know I have shown you the things need to be shown in this video, that is how to migrate the data from Azure SQL Database to Azure Synapse Analytics with using integrate, or with using the native capability of Azure Synapse. All right. So with that note, thank you very much for watching my videos. Kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. So with that note, thank you. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next video.